Now to Capitol Hill. Today, the Benghazi Select Committee holding its first public hearing. Committee Chair Trey Gowdy is here to go on the record, but first, let's go inside today's critical hearing.
Now's the time. Clear the smoke. Remove the mirrors.
IED attacks, RPG attacks, assassination attempt on the British ambassador. This is as bad as it gets, and they said we need more good guys here. And the State Department says no, you're not going to get that. In fact, we're going to reduce what you had.
Ignoring the ambassador, who by their own admission is the expert in the area, that's not giving unusual deference to his judgments, is it, Mr. Secretary?
Difficult question, Congressman.
No, it's very straightforward.
We know the risk in Benghazi. What policy were we pursuing in Libya that was so great that it overcame all of the tripwires and all of the risk?
Not being here at the time, sir, I cannot answer that question for you. I do believe that many of us understood that if we lost the eastern half of Libya, that if we lost the confidence of the people after the revolution in Libya, that we were going to pay a terrible price.
And Committee Chair Trey Gowdy joins us. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you?
Very well. And I just want to tell you, I did some research for today, and I just thought you should know that the Washington Post is describing you today as saying he played it straight. I guess that can't get any better than that, can it?
Well, if that's your goal, and that was our goal, was to play it straight and to prove to our fellow citizens that some things can rise above the den of politics. So I appreciate anyone who reached that conclusion. That was our objective.
All right. So what did you learn today?
There is bipartisan frustration with this cycle, Greta, that we have. We have a tragedy or an attack. We have a blue ribbon commission that investigates it, makes recommendations, and yet the attacks come. One of the most important parts of the hearing today, I thought, was going back 25 years to the Beirut barracks bombing. The recommendations are almost identical. That bombing, the East African bombings in 1998, and here we are in Benghazi, but yet the State Department won't change.
Well, tell me if this is correct from the hearing today. That according to the ARB, that was the review board at the State Department. They said that Ambassador Stevens was an expert of some sort in security. Was that right? Did they say that?
Well, they said he was an expert with respect to Libyan policy.
Okay, and that he had asked numerous times for more security. Had he done that?
Yes, ma'am.
Right,
unquestionably.
So I guess the big question is, when he asked, was anything done?
Well, no. Well, the only thing that was done was that we reduced our security footprint. That was the line of questioning that you showed a clip of from Peter Roscom from Illinois, which is, you talk about how wonderful the ambassador was, and he was that wonderful, but yet when he asked you on the seminal point of providing more security in Benghazi, you turned him down. In fact, you reduced our security footprint. This should outrage all Americans, irrespective of your political ideation, which is why I think Mr. Cummings at the end said, you know what, we need another hearing on essentially this very same topic, and I was very heartened to hear him say that.
Well, he also, I should say that you don't see this very often, so I'll point out Ranking Member Elijah Cummings had great praise for you for letting this be the first topic of the first hearing, because apparently this was proposed by a Democratic member of your committee?
Yes, ma'am. Adam Schiff from California, former federal prosecutor. I don't mean to appear naive, Greta, but I really do think when you're talking about the murder of 4 of our fellow Americans that we sent into harm's way to represent us, surely to goodness we can turn down the politics for just a little while and find out what happened and why and make sure it never happens again. So sure, if a Democrat gives me a good idea, absolutely, we're going to have a hearing on it.
All right, well, as noted, Dana Milbank of the Washington Post said you played it straight. All right, so today was looking at a little bit backwards. Will there be hearings in the future that will look at exactly what happened that night, as well as how the Obama administration covered, how they handled sort of the dissemination of information or transparency or whatever you want to call the investigation post 9/11/12?
Yes, ma'am, to all of the above. We are going to answer all of the questions that are outstanding with respect to the before, during, and after Benghazi. We're also going to make recommendations on how to make sure it doesn't happen again. But as I said today, Greta, I am willing to risk asking the same question twice. I am not willing to risk not answering it once. And even though other folks have looked in Benghazi, there are still unanswered questions, and I owe it to the family members of the 4 who were slain, and I owe it to my fellow citizens to ask all the questions about Benghazi.
Can I ask you one quick question? You saw the report about the former State Department employee Maxwell, who says that documents were tossed out before they're handed over to the ARB in an effort to, that it looked a little dirty. Do you believe Maxwell?
Well, Jason Chavis and I met with Mr. Maxwell, and you're a much better lawyer than either me or Mr. Chavis. So what you would do is what I'm going to do, Greta, and that is give Mr. Maxwell an opportunity to say what he perceived to happen, and he's going to have to give us the names of the other people who were involved, and then we're going to give them an opportunity to say whether or not they have a different perspective. It's going to be an investigation, and if there is a dispute as to what happened, then we'll let your audience decide who has more credibility. But we're going to talk to everybody who has access to information.
Chairman, thank you for joining us. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.